Thank you very much, guys. Wow, more late drama at this World Cup, but Portugal are now through to the round of 16 and they will meet Spain on Monday afternoon in Dallas with a spot in the quarter-finals on the line. Those teams are in the same quarter of the bracket as the US and Belgium. Jules Breach here with Carly Lloyd, Javier Hernandez and Clarence Seedorf. You want drama. The round of 32 at this World Cup keeps on delivering. More late goals, more late drama. It is heartbreaking for Croatia, Carly, but jubilation for Portugal. How do you sum up what we've just seen in those last few minutes?
Oh, this is the beautiful game and a cruel game at the same time. Yeah. You know, I think the first half, we were sleeping a bit. There wasn't too much action going on. Second half brought everything and more. And I think, you know, this Croatian side just never gives up. Luka Modric, you know, unfortunate that this is probably his last World Cup. Fantastic player. And yeah, I think, you know, overall, I think Croatia played much better in the second half.
Very well.
We were trying to listen in there to see if we could hear just what those two legends of the game were just saying to each other. Unfortunately, I don't think our microphones quite picked anything up there, but Javier, he bows out potentially, surely, his last ever World Cup, a Croatian legend, and Ronaldo moves on to the next round.
Yeah, definitely. I think Luka, the winning Ballon d'Or, he helped Croatia to get to a final. They were runner-ups, then another semi-final. I mean, I think he's been so important for his country. You know, we can see here what it means for Mateo over here, Kovacic. I think Croatia has been tremendously, you know, in these last 3 World Cups, we say. Over here, they couldn't make it, even though with this, unfortunately, you know, offside, you know, in the last minute goal. But I think it's sad to see someone like Luka Modric maybe being his last World Cup. But what an amazing run, what an amazing career. He's a legend, an icon for this Croatian country, for sure.
And even exiting like they're doing with honor, you know, until the very last second, these guys have never backed down on pushing. And I mean, so much respect for this team in the decisions that have really showed us so many times over the last days that are so harsh for the team in the last minutes. You know, you go through that emotional moment of celebrating and then just taken away by the VAR. In this case, it was correct call of the offside. But very happy for Cristiano. I mean, he stepped up, penalty came, took his responsibility, and made the goal. I have a lot of respect for that. I mean, it was not an easy moment.
No, it's not an easy moment, you know, to come back to grab the ball and then score that penalty. Yeah, and then the substitutions, you know, I think make a difference for Portugal. You know, they put people on the field to play more directly, more balls into the box, more crosses, Carly, like we said it at halftime as well, that what they needed to do, it happened, and then what an amazing goal from Gonzalo Ramos in that header.
And it'll be interesting moving forward, this next match for Portugal. You know,
yes.
Does Martinez change up the lineup, you know, shake things around a little bit? I mean, he took off some pretty big names, Vitinha, Bruno Fernandes, Ronaldo.
I think that's a win for today. You know, the coach making these decisions, showing his leadership, and showing that everybody needs to really step up their game if they want to be in the starting lineup.
And just have a look at these scenes here as well as the players walk towards the crowd that have been supporting them throughout this game and taking in that applause. And Cristiano Ronaldo wearing the number 21 in honour of Diogo Jota. Tomorrow will mark the 1-year anniversary of his passing. Highly emotional scenes at the end of the game there, and let's take a look at our Fox moment of the match, sponsored by Ferrero Rocher. What a battle it was in Toronto. Gonçalo Ramos winning it for Portugal 4 minutes into stoppage time with an unbelievable header. They go through to the round of 16 after beating Croatia 2-1. And just look at the reactions at this watch party in Toronto. I'd quite like to see what their reaction was when they thought Croatia had equalised as well. But those are the celebrations. Portugal are through to the next round. Coming up for you, beside me, Carly Lloyd, Javier Hernandez and Clarence Seedorf. No goals yet in that first half, but we're watching a knockout game between these two countries where it could be the last time we see these two legends playing in a World Cup. 41-year-old Cristiano Ronaldo against 40-year-old Luka Modric. Let's take a look at some of the chances.
Yeah, in the 4th minute, I think the best chance of Portugal and in the whole game. Bruno Fernandes over here with the right, he should have scored, and the rebound, the goalkeeper make a great save. We can see here a great pass, and then Bruno with the, not miss, but I think the goalkeeper did pretty good.
And we talked all pre-game about getting service and feeding Cristiano Ronaldo here. This was a great cross in. Ronaldo just kind of misses this one, but when he's getting the ball inside the box, he's got an opportunity to score, and they need to continue that.
He definitely pressing, and Portugal was pushing. A lot of men up front, as you can see. Hard cross, and then again, a lot of bodies in the box. Portugal was really knocking on the door, but as we know, Croatia is patient and resilient.
That shot that we showed from Bruno Fernandes, that was the only shot on target in the whole of that first half.
Yep.
It has been all Portugal in terms of the chances that we've seen. What do they need to do to get a breakthrough?
I think putting more ball into the box. I think they love to have this type of possession, but it's a knockout stage. You need to cross. You have Ronaldo, you have Leao over there. We saw Bruno Fernandes coming to the box as well. So I think they need to take that opportunity, put a lot of balls crossing under the ground or in the air. It doesn't matter. They need to cross more, because I think that's going to put your strikers or your players in a better position.
Yeah, this was, again, it happened a few times only, but we've seen at least 4 or 5 times that they could have put the ball in the box and they didn't. What we were talking about before the match, you know, be intentional about using your main quality player up front, get the ball in the box. Sooner or later, something will happen.
And I think this is exactly where Croatia want Portugal right now. You know, they're just going to let it ride out until there's no goals being scored by Portugal.
Well, the second half is on the way shortly, but coming up, the reigning European champion Spain.
First half, there's a feeling it should be a bit better than it is, really. It started quite well and then it's drifted.
Yes, Portugal started really well, created some early chances, you know, with Leão especially, you know, in a wing position, the chance from Bruno. And Ronaldo, I think, you know, he's very impatient. He has to get on the box because that's where he's going to be dangerous, and especially with the cross that are coming from the wide areas, I think it will be the key to Portugal to score. So I think, you know, but they created, but not enough.
They had several chances, and particularly early on, which reminded me a bit of the DR Congo game, actually, where they took one of those, but then, haven't they?
Great. I think they've been excellent. I think Sutalo, Pongracic defend centrally so well, and that's something that maybe sounds silly to say, but it's so easy as a centre-back, especially as a 5. You end up maybe just being a half step ahead of the front post when the ball's coming in, or you just drift central if you're the second defender. They've done a really good job of staying in that positional place where they can attack the ball and win first balls. And they've done that really well, but they've had to do it well because Portugal have had good deliveries in the wide areas.
We talked about how if Portugal are going to get something out of this, get in behind, use the wide areas. Rafael Leao brought in for today's game. And he had a fantastic first 15, 20 minutes.
I tell you what, the wingers are, all about the wingers for me because, look, Leao, yeah, it's a surprise, of course. No, but Leao, this is the first minute and this sets the scene. And as a fullback, it's an absolute nightmare because you're just thinking, oh, goodness me, this is going to be a long day for me. And Leao with his movement, the off-ball runs. But what I really like is the connection between Mendes and Leao because they're not had much feature together. However, just that little run creates that space and now it's just music to his ears. And you allow someone to have space, he's just going to put it in the area where Ronaldo maybe could be. But look, I think he's just breathing with confidence as well, and this just shows as soon as there's grass behind, he's off and running, because look, you can't get near him at all. And the power, he's so powerful, he's confident, like I say, but this is the one I really like. As soon as Stanisic backs off like this, he has no idea what to do in this moment in time. And this is what Rachel was saying about now changing it into a back five. But Leao has been exciting to watch. And it's just now, can he continue to do that? I want probably a little bit more from Neves on the other side. However, look, I think he needs to maybe just do something a bit different now. I think we've seen scenes of Ronaldo getting in his space, and I think that's the problem, Lucas, you were saying, that Ronaldo needs to be patient right now.
Yeah, I think especially with Neto, he normally likes to go inside and do the early crosses. And, Ronaldo should be there in the middle, because that ball, it's for him. And also, I would like to see a little bit more of Leão getting to the second post. I think, it's always very difficult to defenders to defend that ball, because they come with a lot of speed, so they can just have a little touch and it could go in. So they have to be patient, otherwise it will be really hard to break. But Croatia have been defending really well.
And as well, I always have to say, when Croatia changed into a back five, as a winger, I always used to, I'll switch it up. I'm not getting much joy now as I was, and let's just go on the other side. But it's like they're just so restricted in their positions that Leao hasn't been, asked to go on that side because he's comfortable on that side. But I think they need to change something.
When in that situation, when you did that, did you do that off your own back, or did you wait for the instruction to switch? Because actually, I can see exactly what you're saying. It would make sense.
Well, I did it when my really naive stage in my career, when I was a little baby, bum fluff as well, I had at the time. Actually, Neil McCann, actually. He was playing on the right-hand side. The left-hand side. And I said, let me switch over. And I got an absolute earful from Neil McCann, as you can imagine. Yeah. But look, he put me in my place. But I just feel like at times it just gets the fullbacks thinking differently. It's someone else you're up against. And like I said, I feel like, Neto needs to do a little bit more, because now, Leao's kind of out the game in patches because they've been so. Well,
look at what Croatia have done then. Show us what they've done to negate that.
Yeah, well, this is what we're talking about Croatia, because they are a back four at the start of this game, and a bit naive. You're going to give a bit of space to these guys, they're going to punish you as well. And particularly in areas where Ronaldo's at his strength, and he probably gets ahead of that. But this is what we're talking about. When you have now a back five, you can see all the references. You can see Modric getting back in. It's a bit harder for them to get organised in the positions. And now they're not quite sure when the cross is going to come in. There's too many bodies now. And it just looks a little bit more disciplined. And I think that's why Croatia have gone so far in the tournaments. And, Rachel, you said it at the start, during the game. They're so resilient, this back five now, Croatia. And the communication, like you're saying, with the centre-backs. And Leao now has got people doubling up on him. As a winger, that's just... It's so hard now. Vlasic has done great, but can they continue to do that?
Yeah, he has done well since Vlasic dropped in. They needed a bit of help. But I think sometimes, we know Portugal play such a controlled way. I think sometimes in a back five, you've got to try and just take more risks. You're going to turn the ball over a bit more. But even saw last night in the USA game, playing up against the back five, you try and play a slide ball in behind, and actually the defender ends up playing it off his mate in front of him, and it actually then sets up the goal. And that ended up being the goal that was a massive factor in the game, then becoming open. Bosnia had to push for a goal and they didn't get one, and it was over. So I just think Portugal being safe against the back five, you're always going to end up going back and round. And you get to their side, you go back and round. So I think just be ready to turn the ball over, have protection underneath, know that you're going to then need that, but try something, like you say.
And move it. Because if you're doubling up on one player, it means there'll be a player less somewhere else if you move it quickly.
I was going to say, I think Bruno as well will have a key, will be a key player now, because if you see that back line with 4 or 5 players, if he does that little runs inside the line, maybe he will not receive, but then you open a space for someone else. Also, and again, I think it's important to touch on that Ronaldo has to be in the box, has to stay in the box, be patient. He won't touch as many balls as he would like, but that will be the key for Portugal to win.
He has to be in the box, not getting in Rafael Leao's way, and we saw this towards the end. But it highlights maybe the interesting dynamics at play within Portugal.
And this is it, because for me, Leao's got space. Croatia are out of positions, they're all out of place, and just this typifies it. His reaction, he's hands on his hips. Look, it's one of those where you're going to be effective. Ronaldo's going to be effective centrally. Leao's going to be effective one-on-one, and he, took his joy there.
It took everything out of that move, didn't it? It took everything out of it.
I can't believe Martinez is happy with that. The irony was Ronaldo actually then looked up and he looked annoyed, and you're like, you're looking for yourself, who's not in the position he should be. So he needs to look at it. You've got to accept your job, stay central. That's a lovely job, I think. We've got lots of the ball, just wait in the 6-yard box, tap it in.
Right, here is a reminder of